you so much. Just confirming that you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
I think you need to make me a co-host so that I can also share my screen, please.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here talking about a topic that I love. I enjoy teaching and training, so I hope that this will be an impactful 1 hour for everyone that's here. Okay.
Check now, you should be able to share.
Okay. Okay, yes, I can. All right, so just give me a moment. Okay, fantastic. Please confirm that you can see the screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so just how the flow of this will go is I like interactive sessions. So please have your chat, the chat open so that you can also engage. And then if you'd like to speak, you can also raise up your hand. I see 2 people unmuted, so maybe you want to mute them so that we have minimal disruptions. And then if you put up a hand so that we have that nice flow as we go along. So today is all about branding yourself for success as a creative. And I noted when Oriyomi said, you know, there are times when we're focused on the craft, whether you're a writer, photographer, whatever kind of creative you are, and then you forget that you are actually a brand, and you forget that there's more to just the craft. And this conversation is going to help you to see how to build that brand. You know, there's the flip side of this conversation that is packaging, but I say branding is not packaging. Branding is really articulating the value that you bring to the table. It's saying to yourself, I want to go to this place, and this is the outlook I need to have to be able to get there. And we're going to just today look at some tips on how to do that. So, first question that I have for you, what does success mean for a creative? So, you as a creative, what does success mean to you? Let's define what success is. So you can put it in let me open the chat. What does success, you know, when you look back at your life, how would you say, or how would you know that you've been successful? What would you like to see? What defines success for you? And I'll tell you why this question is very, very important. Okay. I'm waiting for your answers. Oh, I should say that I'm a lecturer, so I usually do call people's names just so that everybody is involved and engaged. So let's feel free to type in the chat section. Let me open the participant list. So Kunle, Aduni, Femi, Sheung, what does success mean to you? What is the measure of success? You know, what is that thing that will make you say, oh, I'm very successful as a creative? So if you can type in the chat, or you can also raise up your hand if you want to also speak. Okay, so having enough money to meet your needs and, you know, impacted through your, thank you for that, Oriyomi. Femi says, success means creative output, awards, and socio-economic viability. I love this grammar. It's socio-economic viability. It shall make money, right? That's what we mean. But thank you for sharing, Femi. Anybody else? What defines success? What is that measure for you? And there's no right or wrong answer. Success, Okunle says, success is when you get your desired results. Okay, fantastic. Thank you all for sharing. So success means different things to different people. And you need to be clear on what your measure of success is. Like I said, there is no right or wrong answer. It really just depends on you. It really depends on your ambition. It really depends on what your perspective in life is. So for some people, it's about the amount of money that they make. They're like, look, if I'm not making $10,000 per month, I'm not successful. Some people it's fame. Some people it's like, I want to be popular. I want people to know me all over the world, like how, Chimamanda has fame. I want that kind of fame. For some people, it's visibility. Visibility is not necessarily the same thing as fame. Visibility is that you are known in the right circles and in the right spaces. So someone says, I want to be visible on global platforms. I want to be called on for speaking engagements. I want to be able to access certain fellowships. And they invite me for these things. And I think it was Femi that spoke about awards. I want people to nominate me for things like that. It can also be influence, and influence is tied to impact. So how are you able to use your gift, your talent to influence society, make changes? And we actually do have that power as creatives and as human beings. And then it can be opportunities. What doors are open for you as a result of your endeavors and as a result of your work. But I always try to encourage everybody, and not just creative, that it's important to elevate success beyond money. Money is great. I love money personally. Money is great. Fame is great. But you see, it's much more fulfilling when you elevate success to mean impacts and to mean legacy, when you get to the point where your work speaks for you. Those of us that we are avid readers, I'm sure that we're reading books by authors that have been dead a long time ago. In my teens, I was really, really fascinated by Shakespeare. I had a dream to have his entire collection of his works. Shakespeare was not in my time or in my century, right? Yes, I see a question. Yes, I will share the PDF. So Shakespeare was not in my time or in my century, but his works, they've had certain influences on me, on even certain writers of this generation. So success should be impact, and it should be about the legacy that you want to leave. And when you are building your brand, this is very, very important, because you're not thinking about now. If you're very focused on money, you're just thinking of that particular brief, that particular engagement, and it can be it can be a short-minded approach. But when you think impact, when you think legacy, you're thinking more holistically. You're thinking, what am I leaving behind? How is my work speaking for me? You're beginning to elevate yourself. And it also affects the way that you do your work. It also affects the excellence with which you do your work. And all of that feeds into your brand. So branding is not about packaging. It's about value. It's about value that then translates to the different things that we have all mentioned. It's about the fact that I can call on Femi, and I know that Femi will deliver above average, excellent results in whatever craft that he is doing. And I can go to bed knowing that Femi is on the job. Sometimes if we have lovers of art here, if you love art, there are certain works you'll be like, oh, this looks like Michael something's work. There's something that distinguishes that creative, whether a particular style, whether it is the mastery, whatever it is, but there's something that distinguishes them. What distinguishes you as a professional or as a creative? And you need to think about it from a wide perspective, from a long-term perspective, because if you get it right for decades, that will continue to speak for you. It will continue to, if I go back, open doors for you, which leads to visibility. You may not necessarily be famous. Like, my goal in life is really not to be famous. Not everybody, I don't need everybody to know me, but I want to be visible in the places that are important to my goals and my vision. And then you begin to have, influence, opportunities open up, and then you begin to also have money, right? And then that is a well-rounded approach for you as a creative. Now that we've talked about what success is, what your outlook to success should be, let's now go into how can you brand yourself for success. So another question, what comes to your mind when you see these logos? I don't want you to tell me the name of the brand. I want you to tell me what these logos represent to you. So when you see this Apple, Mercedes-Benz, Unilever, when you see it, what comes to your mind? What are the words, that come to mind when you see these logos? Or if you, for example, saw this Apple logo, maybe not on a tech product, if you saw it, let's say you saw it on a bottle of water, what does it say to you? Okay, luxury, thank you, Oriyomi. Anybody else? So when you see these logos, what comes to your mind? Quality. So for most people, for example, affluence, Apple speaks of creativity, it speaks of innovation, longevity. Yes, Femi, that's actually very true. And then you also have, there's now this trust value that translates, so that whenever Unilever, if they create a totally new product category, you're more likely going to patronize it, not because they're experts in that particular category, but because you know that Unilever has longevity, they've built credibility. Maybe you use some of their products, as Oriyomi said, quality. So you know, there's an assurance that you know what, this new product is going to be nice. She won't say sophistication and longevity. Same with the Mercedes-Benz. If you know, I'm not a car buff, but if I say Mercedes-Benz, I feel like this thing is quality, it's durable, and then there's some sort of status symbol that is attached to it. Now, without even writing the names of these brands, that is the sense that it evokes. Don't worry, stay with me. I'm going somewhere. What about these two people? What comes to your mind when you know, just looking at them right now? What words jump at you when you see these individuals? So this is, I believe we all know Tony Elumelu. Some of us follow him on Instagram. And then that is Chimam, intellectuals. Excellence. Thank you, Femi. And for someone like Tony Elumelu, you think about African entrepreneurs. He I don't think he's the pioneer, but he pushes a concept called Afri-capitalism. So you know he's all about entrepreneurship. So in your mind, like Oriyomi has said, entrepreneur, right? I like that bankpreneurship, Kunle says. For Chimamanda, you know, you're thinking a literary giant. This is someone that, you know, she's an African writer that accesses global stage. Everybody in this life, there is something that comes to mind when people see you and see your name. So the big question, or the big thing, or one of the big things that I want you to take away is, when they mention Femi Morgan, what will people say? You know, thank you, Abimbola. Abimbola says experience. When they mention Abimbola Otu, what will people say? Will they say this is a creative that delivers on time? By virtue of the work that I do as a communications professional, I have to engage with different sets of creatives, photographers, graphic designers, videographers, you know, web designers, and graphic designers especially. And if you're a graphic designer on this call, no shade to you, it's just an experience. Certain of them have this thing of they will just ghost you in the middle of work. I have no idea why they do that, but they just ghost you, right? And those things speak. There's certain people, when they say, oh, can you recommend a graphic designer that is really good? I was like, look, I know this guy. He's absolutely talented. Like, his gift is crazy, but he is unreliable. And people are like, no, I don't need anybody that I cannot rely on. Or, you know, she's absolutely fantastic, but she does not have the best attitude. And someone's like, no, please, I can't deal with drama. How many of us have experienced people like that? I'm sure we may have even said such things. All of this forms your brand, how you interact with people, how you speak. So it's not about talent. I think there's a book that says talent is not enough. It is not about talent. There are people that are less talented than you, that, you know, you are more talented than they are, but they have certain opportunities that you don't have access to. Why? Because they have done certain things right. Because some of them may have worked on their brand. Some of them are reliable. Some of them, they are very, very professional. And sometimes we creatives, we forget about professionalism. These are the things that speak for you as a person, for you as a creative. So in building your brand, this is the foundation. What do I want to be known for? Personally, when people think about me, I want them to think about someone that delivers results, someone that, goes above and beyond. And even my clients, that is the feedback that I get from them. They know that once Adedoyin is on the job, I can go to sleep. And it takes a lot to live up to that, because you have to constantly show up to the standard that you want. It's nobody creating that standard for you. It is you creating that standard for yourself. And it is very important. So you need to ask myself, in this work that I am doing, what do I want people to say about me? What do I, when I'm not in the room? And you know that opportunities, some of us miss out opportunities because we're not there in those rooms where they're making recommendations and we don't hear what people say. I've been in rooms where they're trying to recommend someone and someone has a poor experience of them and that's the end. And I've also been in rooms where somebody say, no, she's not popular, she's not well known, but she is dependable. You should use her because, and somebody is fighting for this person. I'm like, wow, does this person know that this person is fighting for them to engage her in this thing? It's all about, your brand, how people interact with your brand, and what people come off with in terms of their perception of you. Please feel free to type in any questions as we go along in the chat if you have. So we have established perception. The question is, how do you want to be perceived? So your brand, your personal brand, should include how you put yourself forward. A few years ago, there's someone that came to me, she was, saying, she was complaining about the amount, that she gets paid, and that, when she tries to charge more, clients try to beat her down, and all of that. And I let her finish talking. And then I asked a few questions. And I said to her, first of all, you don't look like someone that I want to give 500K to 1 million naira, because you have to look the part. You have to, sometimes you say, oh, we're creatives, and then you want to look unkempt, and you think that somebody is going to entrust certain things with you. No. And you can say to me, what are they doing? The way I dress does not impact on my creativity and my output. You are very, very correct. But we live in a world where people still make certain value judgments based on how you look. And it's not even just about, oh, this Nigeria, African culture, even on a global level and a global scale, they may have fewer biases, in the global side of things, but there is some sort of, when people see you, judgments are being made. The minute I turned on my camera, the minute you joined and you looked at me, there's certain judgments that you are already making about me. Oh, she looks this, she's wearing glasses, she must be really serious. Oh, she's talking like this. It's just human nature. So you must always put your best foot forward. And it comes down to the little things. How do you create your proposal? Now, I could have come to this session and say, okay, the StartCulture, let me just create some sort of slide that is all over the place. But if I had done that, you would have said, what kind of disorganized woman is this? Why is her slide like this? Why are there so many typographical errors? You start thinking that this woman, maybe she really doesn't know what she's talking about, just because slides are not properly done. When I was running my agency and my staff would bring Word documents that are not formatted properly, have like 3 font sizes or font types. And I said, you have to pay attention to detail, because these things matter. They look like little things, but those are the things that will stand you out, because we're in a society where people actually do not pay attention to detail. So how do you put yourself forward? When people call you on the phone to make inquiries of you, how do you respond? Hello, who is this? And you're like, is this Femi? Yes, we speaking. Actually, yes, I can't hear you. Can you go on? And they're like, okay, sorry, I wanted to engage you. How do you put yourself forward? When you go for client meetings, I'm having a training with a group of people on how to carry themselves in the way you're putting yourself forward is not as professional as it should be. Please confirm that you can still hear me, showing me that my internet is unstable.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Though it went mute for a few seconds, but it's back now.
Okay, all right. If it goes mute again, just put it in the chats. Then the second thing is what are people saying about you? I mean, I think we've covered that. What are people saying about you? And it's really, really important to get feedback. Sometimes we don't like feedback, but feedback helps us to grow. Someone said you sound a bit brash. The way you bring yourself forth, you don't really show your value. Sometimes when I review people's CVs, for example, I'm like, look, your CV does not capture who you are or what you can do. So you must be able to get feedback because we're not perfect and we also have blind spots. And then what is the standard of the work that you do? So you're a creative. What standard? Would you do work today and then tomorrow, everything falls apart? Or would you do work that I'm proud that, I engaged you as a creative? I'm proud of what you wrote for me. Or would you send me, if you're a copywriter, would you send me work and I have to now rewrite the whole thing because there's just typographical error or everything is just disorganized? What is the standard of the work that you do? And nobody can decide that for you. I hold myself to very, very, very high standard. And it's to the littlest things, even how I do my slides. I do my slides myself and I take my time. In fact, sometimes I'm like, why are you doing all these things? But you see, I have to show up. And for me, it doesn't matter whether I'm speaking to 5 people, whether I'm speaking to 10,000 people, whether it's a big platform or it's a Nigerian platform, I show up to the same standard. I have to hold myself because that is my brand. So anybody that encounters me experiences that same level of expertise, that same level of experience, that same level of excellence. Is so important to me. And it's, like I said before, it's not about packaging. It's about perceived and actual value. Some of you do great work. Some of you have value that you can add, but you are not showcasing that value. You are not communicating that value. You're not even showing the world that value. And I hope that, we don't have anyone here that say, no, I don't want to brag about the work that I'm doing, because that's what I always hear when I have these personal branding sessions. It's not about bragging, and we'll talk about it more going forward. It's really not about bragging. It's you really just showing the world what you can do. Like I said to you, there are people accessing opportunities that you are qualified for because nobody knows that you can do this thing. My LinkedIn, the opportunities that I get on LinkedIn is absolutely crazy. So when I see people that are not active on LinkedIn and they're looking for like remote jobs, global opportunities, I'm like, you're sleeping on a valuable platform because you're just not visible there. And you know the thing about visibility, the more visible you are, the more opportunities come to you. It's absolutely crazy. And I tell the story of when I finished my master's in 2021, by the end, I just had this desire to teach. Like, I've always loved to share knowledge. So that's always been me. If I know something, I will teach you because that's how I've grown in my journey. But I really wanted to now teach. And then I asked in the school, what does it take to become an adjunct professor? And they told me, but everywhere I would talk about it. So what I said, you know what can I even start with? Because there's the big version of your goal and then there are the baby steps you would take. So I said, you know what? On YouTube, let me start, doing videos, courses, and just start teaching from there. And I started last year, I believe either February or March last year. By July, I didn't apply for this opportunity. Just from a conversation, I got an invitation to join the faculty for the CIPR UK program at the University of Nairobi. And then since then, training opportunities are coming up because I've expressed that I've loved to teach. I talk about my teaching. Even on my blog, I wrote, for example, there's a blog post that I did on my first teaching experience or the first cohort that I taught in University of Nairobi. So people know that I teach, people know that I train. And trust me, more opportunities are coming because my goal is to become a visiting lecturer in a global university. And you'll remember when it happens, you remember that I said it here. And I'm being very intentional about it. So I have content on YouTube. So anybody that wants to find out about me, because you know that people search for you online and already make decisions without even calling you. So if I search for you on Google, what will I find? If I search for you on LinkedIn, what would I find? If I search on you on Instagram, what would I find? You have to show up. in these places. And this takes me to the pillars of your brand. So you have your outlook, which is what we've spoken about now. You have your content. What are you going to be putting out? What messaging? You have your audience. Who are you speaking to? Everybody is not your audience. Everybody cannot like you. Everybody cannot follow you. For me personally, if you ask me how many people are following me on Instagram, how many people are following me on LinkedIn, I'm not really disturbed by those things. What is most important to me is, what value am I adding and what opportunities are opening up to me by virtue of my engagement on these platforms? I don't really care so much about the numbers. And then what is the platform that you are going to be visible on and you would engage? So let's look at Outlook. I'll rush through this because I've shared extensively on it. So how do you want to be positioned? Do you want to be a global creative? Do you want to be a Nigerian-based creative? Do you want to be Pan-African? There is no right or wrong answer. It's really what you want. What will be your differentiator? We've spoken about that. What do you want to be identified with? For me, it's excellence. For me, I want to, when people talk about the top 10 thought leaders or top 20 thought leaders in communications industry, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa, I want people to be mentioning my name. Right? What do you want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for my skill, my expertise, and the fact that, I facilitate the opening of the door that more people can grow in this industry. And this is where your professionalism really, really matters. And this is really the foundation of your personal brand. Your content, you begin your content by asking, what is my why? Why am I posting? So you can decide that, on my Instagram and LinkedIn, I just want to be showing people my work, showing this is what I did today, this is what I did yesterday. But I think that we can come up higher. Remember when I was talking to you about success, I talked about impact. When I share on social media, my LinkedIn is where I share most of my professional work. Instagram, I move between ministry and professional. So my posts, sometimes I'm talking about God, sometimes I'm talking about my work, but LinkedIn is majorly for my work. Now, I don't just go and say, oh, I did this training or this is what I've done. I try to share lessons. I try to share things that people can learn from. So my own why is that I want to give value. So if you're coming to read my post, you're getting some sort of value. I started this thing this year that at the end of every month, I will share some of the key resources I read in the month with other communications professionals on LinkedIn. So that's a resource. That's what I want. So you need to be clear on what is your why. Why are you engaging on this platform? What are you passionate about? I remember a few years ago, I started a platform called Sparkle Writers Hub. And it came out of this thing where people were always asking me, how do you write? I'm like, what do you mean, how do I write? And then I realized that some people just didn't know how to translate their thoughts into words. And so I started that. And within a year of starting that platform, if you go to my church and ask for a writer, they say, oh, speak to Sister Doing. Everybody, even now that I work fully in communications, people will call me like, oh, I saw this billboard about communications and I thought about you. I'm like, yes, personal branding is working. People must be able to associate you. It's called top of mind awareness. When somebody is thinking of a communications expert, when somebody is thinking of a photographer, are they thinking about you? Are they remembering you? That's when you know that your personal brand is actually working. And what is the goal behind your content? I really do believe that every content should have some sort of goal. There's a reason why you're posting. It doesn't always have to be a serious goal. Like sometimes on Instagram, I can put a picture of me just having fun with my friends, and that's okay. But the goal of that picture is, look, it's a nice picture and I'm posting it. There's some certain events or things that I post. I'm posting it strategically because I want to be affiliated with certain groups of people, or I want certain brands to know that this is what I do, and I want to expand, what the services I'm able to offer. So what is the goal behind your content, and how committed will you be to your content? It's not the one that you will post today now and then the next 3 months you will not post anything. You have to be very consistent. In the early days of my career journey, I used to post probably 3 times a week on Instagram and LinkedIn. When I first started blogging, I was blogging every single day. Right now, it's a struggle to find time to actually post on my blog, but I try to do it periodically. Because now I'm tilting towards teaching and training, I have given myself a target. On YouTube, I will post 2 videos every month. and then I will create one course every month. A tall order for me, I have such a busy schedule, but because that is a goal that I want to achieve, I really want to do this in the long term, I must commit to it. So what is the goal and what is your commitment? Because you have to show. Someone say, oh, posting on social media is hard. Nothing good really ever comes that easy. It's a commitment. How important is it to you? And the final thing is that your content must be authentic to who you are and where you desire to get to. You can draw inspiration from people, but please and please and please make sure that your content is authentic to you. Don't try to sound like anybody. Don't try to copy anybody. Be you, and then think about where you desire to get to. So like I told you, I want to be a visiting lecturer in a UK university. And so I'm making sure that I'm showcasing my teaching side a bit more than I did in the past. In the past, I used to showcase my agency side, my consulting work, because it was more important for me for people to see that, look, this is what she can do. Let's engage her as a consultant. Now I position myself as an advisor. Yes, I still take consulting briefs, but I'm very, very specific about the kind of briefs I take. I do more of training, more of capacity building, and I have, positioned my content in that way. So you have to determine that same thing for yourself. If you are a writer and you say, I'm tired of the way Nigerian writers, I'm tired of the way they price down, because some people don't value writing. It's like, is it not just to write? But in this same Nigeria, I've been paid hundreds of thousands to write. So it's just to position yourself differently, and you can do that. It really just starts with you. So it then determines what kind of content will I put out. It also determines what kind of networks do you need to be in, what certain kind of events do you want to go for. I was invited for an event that is happening next week. And frankly, it's not very convenient for me to go, but because that is a network that will be absolutely useful, I'm inclined to go, because that also opens me up to a new market. It opens me up to meeting new people, because sometimes you're just one person away from a very big opportunity. Remember what we said about visibility. If people do not know you, they cannot recommend you for any opportunity. That's just how life is. And then you go to your audience. Who is this for? Who am I writing for? Now, the goal is not to speak to everybody. Everybody cannot be your target audience. So as a creative, where do you want to be positioned? Do you want to focus on Nigerians? Do you want to focus on Africans? Do you want to look on a more global scale? You decide that. Because of the work that I do with the Comms Avenue, I have a Pan-African and a global outlook. So I'm not just speaking to Nigerians. I'm speaking to people across Africa, and I'm speaking to people globally. So the insights that I share, the content that I share actually does reflect that. And I'm speaking to professionals, young professionals. I'm helping them, in their career journey as communications professional. So if I close my eyes and I do this exercise of picture one person that I will passionately share my message with, it's a young professional in Africa that is climbing the ladder in the communications industry. And I essentially write for that person. Now, all of my content is not just that, but that is my primary audience. And I know I want to be able to attract organizations to engage me for trainings. So I showcase from that perspective the value that I'm adding from the trainings that I do. Hope you're seeing the linkages, and hope it's making sense for you. So there's a deliberateness that comes with personal branding that is not just about, take fine pictures. No. You have to be very strategic about it. I have a book called From Clueless to Success, and in it I showed where I was at a very low point in 2016. People were just paying me peanuts for my work, and I would spend hours. And after I spend the hours, I look at the money. Maybe the money will have even finished itself. And I was like, no, this is not life. And I said, you know what? And I said to myself, and I went through this exercise, and I was like, I want to work with women, but I want to work with women that can afford to pay me 500K, 1 million for this work that I'm doing as a writer. At that time, I was more of a writer than even a communications professional. And I just thought, this group with, women in top corporate organizations. And I said, you know what, I want to break into this group, because the women I'm looking for, they're in this group, and I must have access. I didn't have money to go for the conference, but now they say, shoot your shots. And I, I went to go and shoot my shots, and I got an opportunity to work with the social media team, and a door was opened for me from there. And, again, remember I said, delivering excellence, the standard. By the time I got in there, came with the ideas, did everything. They were so impressed. By the next day, I think they engaged me 2-3 more times. Before I knew it, people within that network were referring me for things. And that's how it is, So you have to really think critically about your audience and be strategic and really, really show up. Sometimes you go for certain conferences, not even just to network, but you have to expose your mind to what's possible, to expose your mind to thinking even beyond, your own capacity. Because I remember the first time I told someone I got 500K for a writing project, she could not believe her ears. I'm like, yes, it's possible. But if you're going after the people that will be paying you 50K or 100K, you continue to feel frustrated. So think about your audience. And I hope you can see how all of these ties together: your outlook, your content, your audience, and then your platform. Are you going to be everywhere? So personally, for me, I engage a lot on Instagram and LinkedIn. I don't have TikTok. I have no plans to download TikTok because, again, I can't be everywhere. Twitter, I used to use Twitter for social listening, but in this election period, I've not opened Twitter. In fact, since the gubernatorial elections, I haven't, because I'm just like, I don't need this toxicity in my life, but I haven't checked it. And then I also have a personal website, and I was very, very, I was deliberate about my personal website. And here is why. When I started my career as an intern in a media company, one day it just struck me to Google my name. And then I Googled my name. It was one man from Teen Sale that works in Teen Sale. You could not find any trace of me. And I thought to myself, if somebody recommends me or somebody wants to know about me and they check online, I hope you know that more often than not, people are going to Google you or check you out on your social media. I'm like, so this is what they will see. So I became more deliberate about, making sure that I was visible on Google. And I achieved that through blogging, making sure that I had my byline. And, after I did that for a while, I was relatively successful in that goal. But I decided, you know what? I want that when people Google me, there's a place that they will go and they will see the fullness of who I am as a professional and as a person. And that was what led me to create my personal website. And that is also important, because if you depend on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram, these channels, Mark Zuckerberg can wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm depressed, I'm shutting it down. What's going to happen to all of your content? But on your website, as long as you continue to renew your domain, as long as those content, they are yours, and you can determine certain things. So my website is my storehouse for different things, and I can, I play around with my website, play around with the content, but it's essentially mine. When I created that website in 2018, I wasn't doing courses. Now that I'm doing courses, I've created a new page with my courses. So as I grow and evolve, my personal website also grows and evolves. But you don't need to have a personal website yet if you cannot afford it. But I advise down the line, please do. I started with a personal blog. It was a free WordPress blog, and I used to just write about any and everything. In fact, when I get notifications about people reading the blog, I'm always like, oh, how did you find this blog? So these are platforms which you can project your brand, online and offline. Sometimes we focus so much on online, on social media, that we forget that there's an offline dimension to what we're doing. So there's social media, there's blog and website, which I've spoken about. There's thought leadership. Sometimes creatives, we don't realize that we can leverage the power of thought leadership. What is going on in your industry? What lessons can you share with other people? And you begin to write certain articles. Those things bring visibility. Those things help you to build your brand. Those things would help you in terms of SEO on Google as well. You can create a podcast. Somebody a few weeks ago was complaining, oh, now everybody has a mic. They're just talking and they're saying rubbish. I'm like, why are you complaining? You that you have valuable content, you that, you are the best thing since sliced bread. You are hiding your content from the world. Why are you not complaining about these other people? So it's not by force for you to do a podcast, right? But if you want to do it, or you feel like you have value, then by all means do it. But don't complain when other people are getting on podcasts and then you're becoming annoyed. Same thing on YouTube. You can, like I said, I started using my YouTube actively last year. In fact, I've never asked anybody to subscribe. Every time I put a new video, somebody is subscribing and my subscribers are growing. I'm like, wow, this is very interesting. I don't have a subscriber goal for the YouTube page. For me, the metric of success is in that, right? But it's interesting to see. So really determine which of these platforms am I going to leverage. And remember, be committed to showing up on those pages. So like I told you, YouTube, I do twice a month. I don't have a podcast. Thought leadership, I try to do that once a month. My blog, social media, try and just focus on the ones that work for you. And then the offline, see, volunteering. I can spend the whole day talking about volunteering, because volunteering really does open you up to a bigger network. And that's what I have experienced. It's an opportunity for people to experience your expertise and the excellence at which you do things. And it's a potential opportunity and source for referrals, because there's certain opportunities that would never be advertised. They come by referrals. And then you have speaking engagements like I am doing now. Oriyomi definitely saw something before she invited me. She knew that I could deliver on this. If she didn't know me from anywhere, if I wasn't traceable, or she won't be asking me to come here to do this. And then there are collaborations as well, something that we do not leverage, and we should do more of it. Who are the people that you can collaborate with, so that you leverage their platform, they leverage your platform, and you do something even much better? Because remember, impact, and then your elevator pitch. When you meet somebody for the first time, what are the things that you say about yourself that makes that person remember you, that makes that person, see, anybody I meet in this life, at the end of that conversation, I said, maybe I'm not interested in talking to the person, you will know that I'm a communications professional, and you will know that I love God. Like, it flows out of me, because that's who I am. And it just flows. So what do people remember about you? It really comes from your elevator pitch. So I see a question: is there anything like being overqualified for a volunteer role? I don't think so. I think, because again, why are you volunteering is the question that I will ask you. You want to contribute something to that platform. You want to do something. Sometimes there are selfish reasons for volunteering. I'm not even going to lie. But sometimes you just even want to learn. I adopt a mindset of being a learner, and I can learn from any and everybody, because the minute you start thinking that you're overqualified for a certain position or a certain platform, volunteering, you're not paid work, there's a way that it will shut down the kind of learning opportunities that you will have. And I understand the sentiment. I remember at the end of 2019, I was having a personal experience in my work with God, where I had shut down my agency, and God was asking me to rest. I'm like, rest? What does that even mean? And then the next step for me was to go and volunteer, or intern rather, at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. Now, prior to that, I had been volunteering at the annual summit, and I was like, me that I was running an agency, I had 3 staff, and I was like, me, go and intern. But, as I prayed, I really felt like the path that God was taking me on, that internship was going to be important for me to learn. So I humbled myself, and I went in, and I asked for an internship. But the interesting thing that happened was, about 3 weeks into being an intern in this department, the total head of the person, she came to me and said, you know what, you can't be an intern here. And she brought out a JD, and she says, you're going to be the interim team lead. This is something that is not my area of expertise. And she's like, lead the team, the team members will support you, because they were trying to hire an interim team lead. And I stepped into that role, very cluelessly. It was such a nerve-wracking thing. But that wouldn't even have happened if I didn't even humble myself to be an intern. So I don't think you can be ever overqualified for any volunteering position. What I would just say to you is, what is the goal? Are you going there because you want to actually impact people? Are you going there because you want to learn? Are you going there because this is a springboard to something even bigger? There are many reasons. So when you determine your reason, you can then know, okay, is this for me or is this not for me? Sometimes you just don't even have time. Like right now, there's some volunteering opportunities that I won't take on just because I don't have time, right? So there's always that. I hope that answers your question. Please feel free, anybody else that has a question. I'm mindful of time. Okay, so finally is, not finally, but just to wrap up the section on building your brand, is your personal brand toolkit. Every single person, please, you need to pay attention to this. Your profile. If I ask you to send me your profile, do you have one? A profile that gives me an overview of who you are, your journey so far. And Someone will say to you, well, I just started my journey. There's really nothing in my profile. That's okay. But you can write a profile that is aspirational, that says, that has your goals, that has your vision, that has the things that you are passionate about. And then as you grow and as you expand, you begin to work on your on the content of the profile. My profile, 8 years ago, and my profile now, two different things. In fact, my profile now is almost 3 pages. But when people are reading, my profile, and someone's like, oh my God, why is my profile so long? When I first started writing my profile, it was 4 lines. I was struggling with what to put inside, but I made sure that I still had something. Your elevator page, what do you say when you meet people for the first time, when you're engaging with them in any kind of setting, when they leave you? What's the impression that they have? Your website and your blog. Even if you can't afford a website, have a blog, have somewhere where you can even put your portfolio. Sometimes I engage creative and I'm like, where's your portfolio? They don't have portfolio. I'm like, how can you not have portfolio? And the important thing about portfolio, especially those of you that you write for other third-party platforms. I hope you know that those platforms now they can decide that they're not existing tomorrow. And then the links that you've been saving, they're inactive. So if you build your portfolio, you can take screenshots and you can put these portfolios and maybe even use Canva, but it's yours. So it's very, very important. Your professional picture, your headshots now, they're not costly. You can get a nice professional headshot. All these things really do matter. Remember, we spoke about Outlook. And then your optimized social media handle. I shouldn't be looking for Oriyomi and she's spelling her name as Oriyomi 10, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nobody will find you like that. So me, I'm Adedoyin Jaisimi on all platforms. Maybe the only platform I'm not Adedoyin Jaisimi is it's on Twitter, and that's because of the length of my name. Because I want you that when you search for me on the platforms that I engage in, you're able to find me. So can people find you? And so if you can say to me, oh, but Adedoyin, I'm a creative, this is my brand name, that's fine. But when they search for your brand name, would it be associated with you? Would it be findable? That is my own thing. You can have a brand name. There's a difference between you having a brand name and spelling your name in such a way that you make it very difficult to be found. Okay, I see some questions here. On collaborations, how do you enact successful ones that give you a win-win? So I think for me with collaborations, the starting point for me is shared vision and alignment on certain types of metrics. So if there's alignment and we speak about what it is that we want to achieve, that helps us in terms of success. So I'm aligned with this person. I see the similarities, only there's some sort of symbiotic thing between what that person is doing and what I'm doing. And we understand why we are collaborating and we're very, very clear. So you have to set that foundation. It's something that you take your time to do. And it's also something that you need to be strategic about, something that you need to make sure that there is alignment so that it benefits the two people. And it's not that one person is benefiting and another person is suffering. How do you improve sales? That's a whole class on its own because there's so much I can ask you with regards to that question. But what I have learned is that rather than focusing on sales, right? If you focus on understanding the needs of the people that you want to sell to, and you are able to add value and meet those needs, you will get sales. I have seen that so many times. Even with the courses I create, I always ask people, what do you want me to teach? What are you struggling with? What are you what are your pain points? And that allows me to create courses. Now I have 2 sets of video content, the YouTube video content that is free, and then the courses on another platform that is paid. So I use like the feedback and the comments from the free one to say, okay, maybe let me do a full-blown course on this, and people would buy, right? Like I know people ask me about communication strategy. So I know, okay, this is something that people really need. It's a pain point and I am able to solve that. When you're able to solve people's needs and then you articulate the benefit and the value of that thing, you will find sales increasing. What I've seen that people do wrong mostly is that you're just talking about your products, or you think that you're doing, but you're not looking at it from the perspective of the person that you want to engage. You're not looking at it from their pain point. So when they see you, they're put off because, oh, this person is trying to make me buy, or this person is giving me a sales pitch. So I hope that answer helps, because sales classes. That's a long one. So yeah, that's really what your personal brand kit is. So if you don't have a profile, work on a profile, work on your social media, make sure your LinkedIn is optimized. When I do this as a training, I go through LinkedIn and show what your proper LinkedIn page should look like, make it optimized. So oh, can you still hear me? Sorry, I was bumped out. Let me share again. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying, if sales is important to you, you want to be knowing, okay, am I having more sales? Am I not having more sales? But you need to be able to measure. So things to measure: what are the opportunities that come your way as a result of your content? Are people engaging you? Are people asking about your services? So when people send me emails to say, oh, we want to know about your trainings, we want to know about this, I'm like, yes, this is working, right? Sorry, I'm not sure why my internet is. I want to switch. It may be a fault from the service provider. So just give me a minute. Let me switch to another. Sorry, I am not sure what is happening. Please permit me to try something. Let me sign up for my phone. Okay, so the issue may be with my laptop, but can you hear me here?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to try and keep sharing from my laptop. I'm guessing the issue is with my laptop. Yeah, so, she called me and she said to me, oh, her boss needs a communications consultant. And, she remembered me. I was like, wow, 5 years. That's how powerful, a brand, very intentional about it. People remember you. Yeah, and it's not something about, oh, just today, next month, years to come. I still get people that reach out to me, oh, you know, I need a writer. I've left that. I don't do freelance writing anymore, but people still say, you know, they remember that I did that. And then what's the quality of your engagement on social media? So you see here, I didn't really write about followers. You know, if it's important for you to have 10,000 followers, hey, I don't have anything against that. You know, I just don't elevate it above other things, because what's the point of 10,000 followers where you then launch a service or something and you can't even get 50 people to sign up and buy or engage? What is the point, right? So if I have 1,000 followers and I have, you know, 200 of them engaged or 300 of them engaged and actively, you know, requesting my services or whatever it is, then for me, that's worth more than 1,000 followers that are just there for whatever sake. And then final tips before I take questions: be authentic. You know, inject your personality and your point of view. You know, it's like I said to you, it's really about you and what you want. So you can draw inspiration from other people. You, for example, you can say, okay, let me Google Adedoyin, let me go on our websites, let me go on our LinkedIn. I like this about her. That's okay. You know, I also draw inspiration from other people. But aside from that, please make sure you're authentic. Please make sure you are consistent. Sometimes it feels like, sometimes you don't see the results immediately. And that's something I always try to say. I think that's point number 5. And it can be frustrating. And I've been there, you're posting or doing, and like nobody is buying, just consistently do it. Because for us creatives, it's like when you finally hit that sweet spot, is because of, I don't know how to explain it. It makes up for all the years of wilderness. Let me use that. But you need to show up continually, and you need to add value, because people are actually watching. It's I don't know why it happens that way, but people are watching, and your consistency will actually pay off. Be professional. I've spoken about this. It really speaks volumes, even when you leave the room. And then leverage storytelling. Combine your content with original stories, personal examples that are meaningful to you. You don't have to tell us about your entire personal life, but you can share stories that people relate with. You know, when I wrote my book, From Clueless to Success, when I get emails from people, they're like, wow, thank you for sharing so openly about, you know, your mistakes, how you were clueless, because people sometimes don't know what to do. People are at that point where, oh my God, I don't know what to do with my life. So when you read somebody's encounter or somebody's personal story, you're like, oh, wow, I'm not the only one. And I'm sure some of us, we've been in that place where you feel like, oh, this is not only me. You know, the times where I used to undercharge myself, and someone told me that she charges 10 naira per word to edit. I was like, and people are paying me how much? You know, so personal stories are so important. And I'm a big advocate of there's no point in hoarding knowledge. I feel like the sky is so big for everybody. I'm not threatened by anybody's existence. I'm not threatened by anybody. In fact, I give opportunities to people because I cannot do everything, right? So if someone comes to me, I feel free to share the opportunities and say, oh no, charge more or do this, because together we will grow and we will expand the market. We'll raise the standard so that nobody is paying a writer, you know, money that doesn't make sense. Anyway, you can say that this thing, I'm passionate about it, so I'll not spend all the time talking about it. And finally, but maybe most importantly, give yourself time. Building a strong brand takes time. You know, someone looks at me and says, wow, can I ever get to where they're doing is? Please, this is 11 years in the making. You can't achieve my 11 years. You can collapse your time, because I can share with you, okay, these are the things to avoid, but you have to go through your own process and you have to go through your own journey. So please give yourself time. It's not a do it today and next month you hammered. The grace of God can achieve that for you. But I have discovered, like building a house, you spend time building the foundation so that, you know, you build a brand that's you know, transcends times and transcends seasons, and also a brand that allows you to pivot. So in the stories that I've told you, I've pivoted a number of times, and I'm still pivoting, even in my career, but my brand still endures. The brand that I've created, because the foundation has been set right, because it's based on professionalism, it's based on excellence, it's based on me allowing God to use me as a conduit of blessing to people. It's based on impact. So it transcends a lot of things. So that is my final words with regards to that. So that's it from me. if you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's my website and that's my email. I can take a few questions because I do have another meeting in probably like 15 minutes, but I'm happy to take a few questions. Thank you so much, Oriyomi. Do I hand over back to you?
Yes, thank you so very much, Adedoyin. Like, we are sincerely grateful, and this session has been really enlightening for someone like me that I think for a number of years I've always been hearing about the need to build a personal brand and all of that. But then where it gets tricky is the part of actually specifying the platforms to use and then creating content for those platforms and even knowing the audience. But then the way you have explained everything this afternoon, at least I have more clarity on exactly what I need to do. So I'm grateful. And if I have to speak for practically some other persons on this call, I'm sure they will have the same thing to say. But then, since you said you want to take a few questions, I'm going to allow people that have questions to ask their questions now. But I must say thank you very much for sharing so explicitly. Because really, when I reached out, I wasn't sure what your response would be, especially with our track record on social media. Like, we have I think just a little above 100 followers on Instagram. And I know that, of course, you're going to check us out. So I was like, oh, what's she going to say? But then I was like, oh, well, there's no harm in trying. Let me just reach out. And so I'm sincerely grateful that you said yes. And you have you didn't consider the size of StartCulture, so to say, in what you have shared here today. So thank you so very much. So please.
That you said that though, do you know, because I didn't even, like I said to you, its number of followers does not occur to me. I didn't even check. It's not that you're saying, wow, I did, because it doesn't matter to me, right? So for me, it's okay. The only considerations for me, which we had that conversation, was timing. But
yes.
I mean, it was if, you know, timing and everything, there's no reason why I won't go on any platform. Well, honestly, when I check it out, as long as it's legit, it's credible, you know, the number of followers are not things honestly, I didn't even look at it.
Wow. Okay. So that's interesting. Thank you. Thank you once again. Okay, so guys, please, if you have questions, let's just quickly do that in a few minutes before Adedoyin leaves. Emi, Kunle, Ajoni, Abimbola, any questions? Okay, so in the absence of no questions, I believe everyone here understands. Oh, okay. I don't know if my madam asked question anyway, but I believe every other person on the call understands what has been shared. And if at all there are any questions, you have gratefully shared your LinkedIn information, your website, and also your email address. So you can always reach out to Adedoyin. And of course, how I actually know you is that I'm a member of the Comms Avenue too. So
oh, nice.
So I've been learning from you indirectly for a number of years now. So I'm really grateful that you accepted our invitation. And anyone here that is in comms, so please come join the Comms Avenue. It's a great platform. It's a really, really great platform. So I would advise you to please join. They're on Instagram. So when you go to the Instagram profile, you'll see the link to the form that you can fill out to join the community. So if that's one thing, if that's the only like major thing that you do today, please try and join the Comms Avenue community also. So yes, I don't know, you already mentioned that she would share the
yes, so I'll send it by email to you, Oriyomi. So once I'm done with the meeting I have, I'll send it to you.
Thank you so very much, Adedoyin. We are grateful once again. And, okay.
Thank you so much, Femi.
All
right. Thank you so much. This has been really great. Hope to connect with you all some other time.
Same here. Thank you, Adedoyin. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And have a
Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Thank you, everyone, for coming. We are grateful on behalf of StartCulture. We are grateful. And feel free to follow us on social media too. We are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Thank you for coming today. Bye.